Hello and welcome to our career webinar, Data Scientist or Data Engineer, Mapping Educational and Career Opportunities with Ronald Van Loon, the CEO of Intelligent World and an advisory board member here at Simplilearn. I'm Stuart Creek. I'm a marketing manager here at Simplilearn, and a few notes before we get started on how to navigate the controls in WebEx. Please enter your questions into the Q&A box and mark them for all panelists. We will collect those and present them to Ronald during the Q&A session toward the end of the webinar. If you use the chat function, please include host and presenter or all panelists so that we are able to see your message. And remember to hit send in both cases. So we're also going to be doing some polls during the webinar to ask your opinion. And the first one for practice is, what is your current job role? And also, how are you feeling today? We've been asking this question ever since the pandemic started, just to make sure that everyone is doing well.
Stuart, you started with the second question. I think I get a pop-up, what's your job interest role, data scientist or data engineer?
Oh, I am so sorry. You are correct. Let me restart that. If that's the worst thing that happens all day, we're good. Again, I apologize. This is the poll. Current job role and how are you feeling today? And later in the webinar, we will be asking a couple of times about whether your preference for data scientist or data engineering roles has changed. Give this another 15 seconds. And all right. The results show that most of the people today here are students. And a large majority feel either thumbs up or at least in the middle. For those who marked thumbs down, we hope you will feel better by the end of the presentation, because Ronald is going to share with you some valuable information. And Ronald is the CEO of Intelligent World. He's one of the foremost thought leaders in data science and digital transformation. We're very fortunate to have him on our advisory board at Simplilearn for data science. And he has been named by Analytica as the world's #1 influencer in data and analytics, in automation, and in the future of the economy in tech. So I want to welcome Ronald, and
thank you. It's a pleasure being here again. I can't count anymore. It's already for 3 years, I think we're doing this, so it's very nice.
Okay, so just to take the temperature of the audience, we'll do the second poll, which is a similar question to the one I mistakenly opened before, but right off the bat, we're asking which you prefer, a data scientist role or data engineer role. And as the answers come in, I can see that data scientist is the overwhelming preference, but we'll give it another 15 seconds. For those of you in the YouTube live audience, you are able to put your answers into the chat. And here's the result. We did have a question from the audience about what about data analysts, but that's a subject for a different webinar, although Ronald, you're free to comment on that. But as you can see, data scientist is the overwhelming preference. So over back to you.
Yeah, and I think it's not the biggest surprise. I got the question quite often. So what's the difference between a data scientist and a data engineer? And the reason why we don't have a data analyst in right now is because the confusion is a lot between a data scientist and a data engineer. And the good thing is they complement each other and they're working together towards the same goal in different businesses. And they might have different responsibilities and different tasks, but ultimately they solve the business problems and they improve the business operations and decision making, and they both do this. So I think there's often some confusion about the difference between these two. And the reason is because in many business environments, data scientists are taking on numerous other responsibilities and roles due to the lack of available talent. Stuart, I think somebody is still not on mute.
That would be me.
So if we look to the difference between, generally speaking, data scientists, they are more involved on the side of team management, more involved in communication and organization. And they work specifically with building machine learning models. And if you look to these type of roles, they heavily rely on mathematics, such as statistical techniques, to do their job. So if you're interested in this type of career, which most of the people are, you will be using research to solve your business problems, and you will use analytical and machine learning and statistical type of methods for prescriptive and for predictive modeling. What we see with data scientists, they also look for trends and opportunities in data. They use algorithms that help to build programs that improve the automation, but also make recommendations to the business leaders that will improve the processes and that will enhance the different type of strategies. So if we look to data engineers, on the other hand, they support data scientists within the organization and helping them to reach the conclusions that they need to support the decision making by working heavily with the data. Like you can think about database management or data integration, but also modeling or self-service and data pipelines. So think of data engineers as more a supportive role within the organization. So helping to improve the efficiency of the organization, but then from a larger perspective. And it's a very software and program oriented position within the company. So if you're interested in this career, you'll need to be making sure that your data storage and your collection systems, they are current. That's what you focus at, and they are acceptable. But also you work on developing custom software, for example, or merging systems together. Other things you work about is storing and securing data and system and integration management. And you also start by finding out how to improve the data quality. This is a very important role because the data quality is crucial in getting the results. So specific responsibilities for data scientists and data engineers, they often change depending on the industry or the business, or even on the manager, because it's always up to the business leaders to make the respective responsibilities of the data scientists and the data engineers clear within the organization. And it's really depending on who is good at what. There's no one size fits all. If I would like to compare it, a game of chess, it's very popular, I think, right now due to the Netflix series. If you look to a game of chess, your goal is to capture the opponent's pieces, which represent the different challenges that the organizations face in their environment. And businesses, they need to create all kinds of strategies, look just like in a chess game. And then they move their pieces around the board in order to overcome all these type of challenges. So if we look to data scientists and data engineers, they are like your knights, your bishops, your rooks, and more important pieces in the game of chess. And if they can work together and move accordingly, they can overcome basically any type of challenge and eventually win the game and create a new solution for a company that helps them to succeed. So I think that's a high level overview, Stuart, of the difference between data scientist and data engineer, and also the reason why we don't have a data analyst included right now.
Uh-huh. And so for the two roles, data scientist and data engineer, what specific skill sets do each of these jobs require so that people can match that to their own personal aptitudes and skills?
Yeah, I think it's good to dive a little bit deeper into it, and maybe very nice story to share. I recently spoke to a data scientist of one of the world's leading technology companies, and he worked on some significant data scientist projects for some household company names, including a favorite major baseball league organization. I can unfortunately not share all the names as it is a confidential chat, but when I asked him to describe his job, he said that he helps businesses and governments do more with analytics and AI. And whether it's deep learning, whether it's machine learning, whether they analyze text or audio or video or whatever else they analyze, that doesn't matter so much. And what he also mentioned is that he focuses on helping organizations to take control of their data journey, so they can overcome their business challenges and use AI and use data and use analytics to their advantage. So I think it's a really important statement because AI is becoming synonymous with organization success. Every company is a data company. Every company is an AI company. And they become synonym not only with success, but with innovation, with differentiation, because all differentiations are based upon data. All innovations are based upon data. But companies, they can't achieve any of these AI-driven outcomes without the skills from industry specialists like data scientists and data engineers. So that's why these two roles are so very important and why we discuss them today. So if we look to today's data scientists, they have to understand machine learning technologies and techniques. You can think about clustering, natural language programming, and deep learning, but also programming languages. Then you can think about Python, SQL, or Scala or R, but also Java is important. And you have to learn about big data platforms. Big data platforms like Cloudera or MongoDB and also Oracle. And I think it's important to have an understanding of data visualizations. And then you can think about tools like Tableau or like SAS. What else is important is the communication and the storytelling. They are key for data scientists because they not only have to be able to organize different teams, they're also responsible for successful algorithms and business outcomes. So they have also to be able to relate concepts to people in different roles and in different departments in a business. And what that means, that they have to have a strong understanding of the business itself and how algorithms are going to impact the success of the organizations in all the different type of capacities, which means that analytical skills are a must because using analytics is just part of the job. Then if we look to data visualization and reporting or risk analysis, data mining, cleansing, you can also think about research and understanding the big data platforms, understanding the cloud tools, understanding your data warehousing and the data structures that you have. These are skills that you need as a data scientist as well, from a higher level perspective in order to be and to stay competitive. But you also need to consider a specialization, and then you can think about choosing a particular industry. So if you're in a certain industry like in finance or you are in healthcare, which are both rapidly evolving industries, there as well you have to dig deeper into the complexities of AI within this industry and the complexities of machine learning and database management specifically in this industries. So specializations like these, they're very helpful for your own understanding what you like to do, because data science is a broad field and it can be really overwhelming to people who are looking to pursue their career in this path. If we then look to the data engineers, they are much more software focused. And I explained this already in the previous part, but if we look to managing and maintaining data pipelines, this is a regular part of the position. And so putting your data into models, data warehousing, and into the data architectures. So they are in charge of building and maintaining data storage systems, which involve using software that stores all the data. To give an example, you might be in charge of how to integrate new data from new client databases, but also at the same time, the security. It's always going to be a very important part of your job. So all your data needs to be processed and need to be secured. Another part of the job and the skills that you require are the programming languages. Understanding technologies such as SQL, but also NoSQL or Hadoop or Java or Python. They are regular skill sets which are necessary to succeed as a data engineer. If you're developing your skills in SQL, this is going to be a great place to start as a data engineer because it's the foundation programming language that they use. So if you're thinking about starting, and I saw quite some students, this is something where you can start off. And the challenge is that as their job is heavily software and programming focused, these technologies often they change over time and change quite rapidly. So the part of the job is understanding how to adapt and how to react to using these technologies. And education is key in this. So a lot has to do with your with organizing the data, but it's also more a collaborative effort. Data science is a collaborative effort anyhow. So as a data engineer, you will need to spend a lot of time listening to other data science professionals and to learn from them. So how do you know what position is best suited for you? So if you look to data science, I think it's great for people who are some kind of natural leaders, team leaders. So if you're a natural leader, then it's a good indication that data science is much more up your alley. And I know most of the audience likes to become a data scientist, but I think you need to, and especially if you start, look at what fits best for you. So it can be maybe a second step or a third step, but have in mind what fits with you before becoming blind for the title only. What I see as well with data science, they're going to be heavily involved in building machine learning models. So that's a capacity that you need to have as well. If you look to the data engineers, they're all about being data experts and about being software experts. So if you're more technological savvy, if you're a great programmer, and if you could see yourself more behind the scenes, assisting the organization using their data, then I think this is definitely more suited for you. But once again, if you are more this technical guy, it can be a route for you, a step up to in the future move more to managerial tasks and more grow towards a data scientist. So if you have data scientist in your mind, just also don't forget to look at a data engineer. So I think this is, Stuart, this covers most of the important skills for both the data scientist and the data engineer.
And that's excellent because we did have some questions coming through the chat about the possible career path from one to the other, and you spoke about that. So what industry trends today are emerging that impact the demand for each of these job roles and how the job roles themselves are being shaped?
Yeah, what we mentioned already, the whole spectrum is changing and is really changing rapidly. So it's important to keep an eye on all the trends and what new technologies are pop up. And because if we look to the world today, this is, let's say, yeah, how you keep yourself up to date and to find out what is your route for your future job position, and even further increased value for data scientists, data engineers, that bring to an organization. If you understand the trends better, this is going to help you out. So this trend's also going to help you understand the technologies that are emerging today and where you should focus at least some high level in education for yourself. I think for one of the main trends right now, it's automation. So it's used in a variety of capacities across industries. And if I talk about automation, I talk about robot process automation. And this has been seen a widespread adoption during the urgent new initiatives in advancing this digital transformation, and especially during this pandemic is really exploding in demand as the ROI cases are trivial. And as well as more and more workers, they shift to remote work scenarios. So RPA makes things a lot easier for companies who need to update legacy type of systems and perform all kinds of repetitive manual tasks that help employees adjust new technologies in changing the work environments, like using new CRM or using HR systems or finance systems. And within these, they can use the machine learning applications and the software robotics. Another trend I think to keep in mind is the natural language processing, and this improves processing capabilities of data sets and results in improving the operational efficiency, but also the decision-making capabilities of organization across the different industries. So common uses of NLP in the business context is that we see every day are, for example, chatbots. And a more advanced type of chatbot is conversational AI, or voice recognition. One of the most known is, for example, Apple Siri or Amazon Alexa. And NLP performs tasks such as sentiment analysis, but also name entity recognition or um, uh, co-reference resolution, and also speech tagging is one of the items. So if we look at popular programming languages, then we have to think about Python. And Python have specific tools for utilizing and building a natural language processing programs. So this is why conversational analytics ties directly into the NLP, and that's very important. And this is because this process is about extracting data from speech patterns, just like our voice assisting examples, as I just mentioned. So businesses tailor marketing campaigns that improve the customer experience because they're able to understand the context from the conversation in calls or in question and interactions which programs use, where they use speech. And it can be either a chat or it can be analysis from um, your call teams, your sales teams. And if we look at this point, I'm sure that you have at least heard of the term deep learning by now, and natural language processes using deep learning models that classify and label text and voice data, which help them to bring the meaning, but also improve the accuracy of the data. And now we are over 95% accuracy of voice recognition, which is the human level of recognition as well. Then we have, if we look to the trends, AI. AI is a continuous trend that's relevant moving into the future for the coming years, because businesses, they need to speed up their transformation, but also cater huge surges in e-commerce, especially now during this pandemic. And over here, shops are closed. I think in many parts of Europe, shops are closed. I think also some parts of the US. So e-commerce is really taking off, and it's changing customer behavior. It's changing the habits and the expectations. And yeah, to survive amidst this disruption and this uncertainty, this is crucial, a crucial trend to follow. And they can't do this they can't use AI without data scientists and without the data engineers. But I'd like to specifically discuss the AI and the intelligent applications, which we touched briefly when we mentioned the chatbots or when we mentioned the personalized marketing. So we literally see countless of examples of intelligent applications being used across the industry right now, whether it's in banking and finance. Intelligent applications help with combating fraud and with enhancing the security. But also, for example, in healthcare, AI applications that are being used to detect cancer and all different kinds of diseases in patient diagnostics or in drug discovery. If we look to AI applications, they're being used to improve supply chains and logistical operations. And if you're interested in that, I did a webcast about this 2 weeks ago, so you can Google that, AI in logistics, and can dive further into that part. Or improving industry and factory 4.0 type of innovation with smart robotics, and also with improved routining deliveries type of AI applications. One other industry I would like to mention where AI is used is agriculture. Maybe it's not the most obvious one, but AI is improving farming efficiency and the farming outputs by predicting planting and harvesting time, for example, but also a lot with IoT type of connected devices and improving the efficiency in farming substantially. One hot topic since the pandemic, and you can imagine why everybody's working from home, is security. It's very important. So especially as these remote work scenarios have emerged as part of this new workforce, and customers and organization data, they always need to be processed securely. And data scientists, data science security professionals, they need to understand all the latest technologies and the tools that are used for big data analysis and for security of your data. So these are just only some of the emerging trends. Of course, there are more which are impacting the future of data science and data engineer workforce. So keep an eye on these as these new trends emerge and evolve over time. And your education will prepare you to work in a world shaped by these type of trends and help you to work with these type of technologies as well if you keep an eye on it. So I think it's the most emerging trends currently today. I
Thank you
think we
for
have a
that.
poll now.
Yep, and I'm going to go ahead and launch that. This is just to get a kind of feel for the background of the folks in the audience and their your educational background. In a world where, for example, about a year ago in the United States, the president issued an executive order that said that government jobs would look primarily at skills rather than education. So skills are becoming a very important part of the hiring mix as compared to the qualifications from education. And see that most folks in the audience here have a bachelor's or master's degree.
Which is a great foundation.
Okay. So when we look at that, what type of education is required for data scientists and data engineers? And if somebody's in the process, what path should they plan out for their education towards each field?
Yeah, I think it's good to see that most people in the audience have already a bachelor degree or even higher. And if you look to data scientists, they need an undergraduate degree in data science or similar fields for an entry level position as a data scientist. But a bachelor degree will only get you so far in the industry as a data scientist. And so I strongly recommend pursuing a master's degree So you can get a strong education in the fields such as, for example, ethics or your data privacy or visualization or marketing analytics. If, let's say, with getting a PhD later, this will open up all kind of your abilities to get different positions and even more advanced careers as a data scientist. Also, if we look to certifications, there are available and they're really important for data scientists as a stamp of proof next to the practical experience. If we look to the certifications, they will help you to narrow down your focus and your interest, and will also help you to align with your specialization. So as we have mentioned before when we were talking about the skill requirements of the data scientist. So popular certifications include, for example, certified analytics professionals or Cloudera certified associate, which are important ones. And of course, organizations like Simplilearn, they're very happy to help you with your education and your certification to be sure to find out how we Simplilearn can help you. You can further talk to the people after the webcast. If we look to the salaries, and that's probably what triggers many people. So data science salaries, they're very competitive, and even on average, it's $120,000 a year, and it can even grow up to 200,000 a year, depending on the area, depending on the industry. But also depending on the company you work for and how advanced you are in your career path. So it's important to start pursuing your education now, because it could take, let's say, about 4, 5, 6 years to get a bachelor degree, depending if you do it full time or you do it next to your job, and at least more than 1 year to get a master's degree. And then you can do all different kinds of additional certifications. But with data scientists being such an important and growing field right now, it's worth it, I think, and it will set you up for an even more bright future for success in this emerging field. So as for data engineers, I forgot to move the slides. As for the data engineers, they need an undergraduate degree in science, in math and in business, such as a bachelor's degree in computer science and in physics and statistics, or in computer engineering, for example. But if you look to a degree is not everything. You need to get out there in the world and gain some experience, like getting an internship or building your own portfolio of projects that you are working on to gain the attention of the organization and to get a real job into the field, because the real job really gives you the experience and the recognition to move on and to educate faster and learn from others as well. Other courses you can think on other courses on algorithms or on coding or on database management. They're also going to help you out if you want to progress in this career. I mentioned already before SQL. SQL is really important for data engineers, and it's also used to query your data and for the SQL systems. So since statistical analysis is also part of the job, I think you can think about Python and R. They are currently the most popular programming language to familiarize yourself with. And maybe last but not least, certifications are also available for data engineers to put you on top of your career. So there are many certifications available for you to pursue, such as becoming a certified data management professional, or a Cloudera certified professional. And with data engineering being an emerging field and showing no signs of slowing down, there are always higher educational paths to consider, such as a master's degree in computer science or in computer engineering. And as we finish talking about the education requirements, I think what's important to keep in mind is that data science and data engineering, this is a constantly and it's a rapidly evolving field. So what we tell today will be different in 6 months time and different in half a year, so different in 1 year. So keep an eye on it. So it's your best interest to keep studying in your own time and keep yourself current with the new developments in this field so that you can bring the most value to the organization, to the industry, but as well growing within an existing company over time for yourself. So yeah, this is the high level educational background and requirements for both different roles.
Ronald, would you go back a couple of slides just to the data scientist slide so that people can see that? And
Yeah,
so
sorry.
and in our recording, but yeah, and so the two paths are slightly, I mean, not slightly different. Two paths are different, but as you can see, there's a way into the data scientist path from the data engineering educational base. So, what kinds of careers are available once people are qualified as data scientists and data engineers?
Yeah, I think this is an important topic, especially if we look to the let's say the wish to become a data scientist much more than a data engineer, and why this data engineer role is also, yeah, to keep an eye on or keep as an option in your career path. And I wanted to break up, I think, in two type of careers, maybe some regular, most obvious type of career and more exceptional type of career options. But let's start with the normal, regular type of career. Um, these are more common and these are more generally require less experience than the exceptional type of careers, which we discuss after this one. So you can become, let's say, a data analyst who is responsible for optimizing of data where you can cleanse, where you can extract, where you can analyze data, where you can query databases, or where you can mine data, and often looking for patterns in data that help you to support decision makers. But you can also become, if we look to the career options, um, move more into an application architect, an application architect who handles of all the software application design and development. So you need to know about application development in that case, and then you can think about testing or updating applications and integrating applications. But this is a career option for the route that you can take. Another career option is, for example, moving more into a business analyst type of role who uses data to target the specific needs of the business and communicate necessary changes that are going to help a business to succeed depending on the goals of the management and the C-level and the stakeholders. It's a type of role which can be very helpful within this domain. There are also career options as statistician, um, who models the business models and help to determine the meaning behind the data and relay in a way that makes sense of the business decision makers, while supporting the strategies of your organizations. And these are just four types of, let's say, different routes which you can take. And these are more the normal career options for data scientists. But many choose from, you can also choose from different ones, like the database administrator, or machine learning engineer, or a business intelligence development developer, and many more. Then you can also look from a different perspective, and this is more the exceptional type of career choices that you can have. So these are typically more advanced career options, and they're generally more designed for people who have spent years of advancing their careers, not only in the data science, but also within the organization, within different industries, understanding the business. But they are, I think, very rewarding if you are just starting out in your beginning stages of your career. You can think about, different exceptional data science careers, so you can aim for advance within your organization and envision yourself a future, um, and grow as a data scientist. And first, for example, data scientists who become a consultant, So big companies will hire you to work on major problems and strategies within the company. And in this case, you often get work on a diverse range of projects or cases with lots of room for high level promotions and company partnership. But you use your data science skill in a consultative role. What we also see as more exceptional type of career path are, for example, product development. This is a career option that's for more software and machine learning oriented people, and I think great for engineers. So it's fulfilling career paths because of you get to heavily influence how the products are built within the company. And one specific thing about this is, if you look, the people who are really going to decide how the future of companies look like are the ones who create the new type of disruptive products and disruptive services within an organization. And these are the most valuable people in the future if you understand the market, if you understand the product and the service needs, and you have the data science skills. You basically, you build your own business and your own services, but these are the people who are, one of the most valuable people in the future in the domain of data science. You can also think about a sales specialist, so work on different type of products and cases, but more from an entrepreneurial mindset, and where you start educating and acting and adding sales skills to your portfolio. And I think in this range as well, you can think about business development roles. So where you can work in areas of marketing or in finance, and heavily influence the business operation to get work a lot of on the different data sets to create all different kind of new developments and new markets. So if we look to this exceptional career choices, I think they have a lot of responsibilities and they have a lot of value. Um, and if you look to responsibilities, you can think about establishing a data-driven culture. I think it's going beyond just being the data scientist, or you can think about leading full data projects, or building product knowledge, improving the communication skills within an organization, but also using the business knowledge to create new products, new services, to develop your culture. So if you decide to walk the path of an engineer, you also have other career options. You can think about, let's see, career options like being an Hadoop developer, or being a BI developer, or being a technical architect. Other roles can be ETL developer, but also data warehouse engineer, or a quantitative data engineer. So there's different, more technical type of roles, and your role might also include being some kind of data platform engineer, or data infrastructure engineer, or a data warehousing engineer, and maybe grow to a chief data officer. And this role is some that is growing step by step within more and more organizations, as data becomes much more important within the strategy, within the innovation strategy from organizations, and within the day-to-day strategy basically as well. So there's a lot of different options and career paths to take, and which one is the best part for you, that's something that you have to decide yourself. What does fit well with you? What do you like? But I think what's important, drive your own career, and make think from what you like, think from what you're good at, and tell these type of requirements and requests to your organization, so they can search for the next opportunity that fits you well, and build your own path towards your goal that you have in mind. I think that's working best, and there's no black and white or predefined best path at all. Define it yourself, but be proactive. Let people know what you want. Let people know what you're good at, and this way, I think you can develop your career best. So this is the broad range of different kind of career options, Stuart.
Great. So now that we've heard from you, Ronald, I'd like to ask the audience if they've changed their opinion on which role appeals most.
Now I'm curious.
Yeah. And we'll just keep this open for another 30 seconds. And about 15 seconds more. So it's still overwhelmingly data scientists, but I think a few more people have indicated data engineering as a preference.
Data scientist as a preference. Yeah.
Yeah, most are still with data scientists, but I think the response for data engineers is a little bit higher than it was earlier in the webinar.
It's good. It's a process, and it's, yeah, as mentioned, define your own career and look from what you're best at, and this way you can guide it best, I think.
So the top industries and domains, where are the best places for people to look for opportunities to practice as data scientists and data engineers?
Yeah, I think there's a number of obvious sectors, which we all know. I covered already some general AI applications across the different industries earlier to demonstrate some of the industry trends that are impacting the popularity of these type of roles. But if we look to, for example, huge companies who have named themselves partly due to the contribution of data science and data engineering professionals, everybody knows them, the big tech companies, and they have massive teams of practitioners in each of the roles that comprise large teams of diverse high-level data specialists. You can, for example, think about Facebook. They have 373 data engineers and more than 700 data scientists. Or if you think about IBM, they have around 650 data scientists and around 160 data engineers. Tech companies like Google, around 550 data scientists and 180 data engineers. Apple, 200 plus data scientists and 100 plus data engineers. Or Oracle, also 120 plus data scientists and around 70 data engineers. So this gives a good idea from this huge tech companies what the size is of their data scientists and data engineers crew. So there are a lot of, let's say, exceptional examples, because not everyone is looking into pursuing these two careers, and they're not going to end up work for the Apples or the Googles. Maybe many people would like to, but as you can see, it is still a limited number from the total amount of jobs that there are. But pretty much every industry and every domain and company, both big or small, they are looking for data science and data engineering professionals. And I think that's the good thing. So if we then look to industries, for example, the supply chain, organizations need data scientists to help them solve all difficult type of challenges, like reducing the environmental impact of global sourcing, or enabling them to meet the new customer demands with mass personalization, but also getting insights in the changes in the supply chain almost at real time, especially during this type of pandemic. And they both need data engineers and data scientists to help them advance goals for demand forecasting, for accelerate what they call cognitive procurement, or also improve the end-to-end visibility, sometimes through blockchain, which is another technology, by the way, which we're not going to discuss today. Then we have the technology organizations They need data engineers to help them to expand their software development objectives, like building new algorithms um, for the recommendation or for the search or for the personalization systems, where we see that data engineers, they needed to act as a part of the teams that develop and productize the key data sets, but also to build machine learning models for the marketing teams, for example. Another industry you can think about is telecom. So organizations need data scientists and data engineers to help increase network security, but also you can think about mitigating fraud or leverage AI for better customer experiences. Better customer experiences is everywhere. Um, some of other top industries hiring data engineers right now are e-commerce, which you are probably not surprised about. E-commerce is really taking off, especially as the brick and mortar are struggling due to this pandemic. But also industries like finance, like within finance, insurance companies, or within the healthcare industry, also in consulting, and as mentioned already, this enterprise type of software. So for data scientists, some of the top industries to look in is finance, scientific and technology type of services, manufacturing and banking, pharmaceuticals, industrial. So you see that there's quite some industries really advancing in data, in analytics, in AI, and where the need for data scientists is really taking off, and which is good if you move your career in this direction. So the options are very broad, and the options also of course you can move from one industry to the other and use the experience that you have in one industry for the other new company you start working. So I've seen in my experience a lot of data scientists and data engineers to focus solely on this high technology companies that everybody knows. But yeah, I think it's a nice idea to work for these big tech companies, but it's very hard to get employed. And there are so many different other opportunities who are industries and companies who are really in the need for good data scientists, for good data engineers, where you can flourish yourself and can develop yourself. Um, and then you can look more at niche sectors and at subsectors that are worth checking out. And in the end, you need to find a company where you feel comfortable. And the good thing I think about what's happening now, work from home becoming more a standard type of work, for many of the companies. The good thing about this is that you can work from anywhere. So it doesn't matter whether you're living in a small town, whether you live in the east, in the west, in the north, or in the south of the world. You can work from anywhere. The bad thing, of course, of this is it's harder to get together. But anyhow, what I see is that many data science teams, they work anyhow distributed over the globe and come together now and then to share their experience. One industry I would like to mention is the pharmaceutical industry, where you have the drug manufacturing, the genomics, and the veterinary life sciences, and also of course now the vaccine requirements, the vaccine distribution requirements, where we see quite some troubles all over the world. Then if we look to the industrial industry, where you can look at specific subsectors, then you can think about construction or metal fabrication or industrial components, where you can work in R&D and support our R&D with data and analytics, either as a part of their service. So what you see a lot is that, let's say, product companies become data companies. So they start providing insights about their products, and these insights become a new type of services. But also, of course, in their product optimization or predicting their maintenance for these products, which are areas where the amount of good people are really required. One sector which I mentioned before, the agriculture sector, you can think about farming, you can think about fishery. So here you could be working on projects like autonomous tractor development or automated irrigation or digitized crop disease detection. So there's many different areas where data analytics can help to improve agriculture in different ways, and have a more sustainable type of agriculture. So it's important, I think, to keep an open mind, not get stuck on one perspective, on one title, and which can in the end narrow down your career path. Be open-minded, be open for different roles, be open to make different steps if you go ahead, and maybe smaller steps would bring in the end a bigger step than just aiming for this data scientist title. So no matter, I think, what your passion, where your interest lies, you can find an industry, you can find a sector, and you can find a company that fulfills your needs and your dream job and your dream career path. And if you start something, it's not, let's say, the end, it's a next step in your career. So make steps, maybe fast steps, and educate yourself to stay up to date. And I think that's a nice moment to move to the Q&A.
Yeah. We've got many more questions than we can answer in the time available, but I want to start with this one because it touches on two things. From Amandeep, who says, I'm pursuing a data scientist program from Simplilearn. I'm presently working as an investment banker. And can you suggest a good path for my career? The reason I chose this one is because there's a number of people who are in finance or in commerce or in chemical engineering or mechanical engineering who are all curious about whether and how to move into the data scientist role. And here's somebody who's making that transition through the Simplilearn data scientist program. So what advice could you give to Amandeep and the other folks here?
Yeah, so finance is one of the leading industries. I think that's the great part. And whether you are in fraud detection or defining models to predict investments, which is a very, let's say, um, job in demand. But there you really need a lot of domain knowledge. So the good thing, if you have certain domain knowledge, for example, in investments, and then advancing your career by doing a data scientist course, or a bachelor's or a PhD. This is really where you can add value to your job. So you have basically two routes. You start as a data engineer, you start as a junior data scientist, or you have a certain expertise already, and then you advance your career. And the people with the combination within a certain industry, so industry expertise, I was talking about these specific roles which are exceptional, whether it's in product development, whether it's in sales or in consulting. These are the roles which are very valuable if you have the best of both worlds, both from data science as from the industry. Then you can go for this exceptional career. So advice is, yes, go ahead, develop yourself much more in the direction of analytics and data science, and make it known within your organization that you can help them probably with let's say job openings which they didn't expect. For example, for product development, if you can develop new financial products, yeah, you're more worth than your body in gold. As they say an expression, it's a Dutch expression, but I don't know if it's an English expression. But that's the opportunities that you have. So everybody who has no, let's say, analytical experience, extend your career with data, with analytics, with the data scientist possibilities from Simplilearn. because that's what brings real value, exceptional value compared to the normal jobs.
Thank you. I'm going to mention a question from Akash, but I'm going to move to another question right after. Akash asks if it's too late to learn these things at the age of 25. I'm going to switch to the other question, which is from a learner. I don't have his name, but he has a bachelor's degree in math, 29 years experience in management and sales in the financial and insurance sector. In his management role, he developed and led a data governance team. I should say, I don't know if it's a he or a she, but what is a good path for this person to get back into data science after having led a team of 18 in his management career?
It's not clear for me if they have already experience in either data science or analytics or data engineering or not. But let's assume they have not. They have led a data governance team already, so they know how to manage these type of teams. So I think on one hand is educate yourself as a data scientist. Start with the simple side, but I think what can help you a lot is further become and advance your career from leading the data governance team to leading the total data science team to leading a product development team, and maybe even have a career move to a chief data officer, so leading whole organization from a data perspective, where you combine your knowledge from both the industry as your knowledge from data science, and that's still unique in every I think in every industry and most valuable. I think if you moving into this product development direction or service development direction, and where you combine the both the knowledge of data science and the industry knowledge and your career knowledge of 29 years, I think it was finance, that's where the real value is. And it's definitely not too late to start, whether you are 25, whether you are 50, or maybe even when you are 70. I don't think it's ever too late, because you need to stay up to date anyhow in your career path. If you like working and you like working at your 70th, it's still worth investing time in it, because that's what is required right now if you want to do your job well.
Ronald, do you have time for a couple more questions?
Let me check. 5 minutes more.
Okay. Going to ask, one is, does the AI engineer support the data scientist, or does the data scientist support the AI engineer?
So if you look to the data engineer supports the data scientist, the AI engineer, it's, let's say, a combined role, where you take care for the data collection, for the modeling, which is also part of the data scientist. So it's overlapping, but let's say the AI engineer supports the data scientist, if you ask the question black and white.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Edward asks if it's possible for someone with a lack of computer programming background to take up a career in data science or data engineering.
Yeah, I think definitely. And I would even say, if you're interested in data science and you have no background, but you have the will to learn, then you definitely can become a data scientist or can become a data engineer. I think these career paths have a lot of diverse options, and definitely different specializations where you can move ahead. So I think it's more the drive and the will to succeed than it's, let's say, where you say, okay, you can or you can't do it based upon your previous education. And from there, which we discussed a couple of times today, you need to find your path. So if there's certain activities where you're not good at, if you don't like, or you're not good at programming, try to avoid that part within the role. And if you look to larger organizations, they need so many different roles. So you need to find a role that fits with your capabilities, fits with your interest, and fits with your skills. But yeah, don't let's say your background, financial background, whether you have the means or not, or let's say educational background, don't let that stop you going into a direction. I think it's much more important to have the drive and the will to learn, and the possibilities are there to educate yourself, either with courses available on the internet, with Simplilearn. So there's multiple different ways to educate yourself. So it's more the spirit and the drive than it is the previous education that's gonna make you successful or not.
Okay, great. I think, unfortunately, that's all the time we have for questions. And I apologize to people who have submitted questions that we couldn't get to, but I want to go ahead and thank Ronald for this wonderful presentation today. I think it's been, I hope that our audience has found it extremely helpful. I also want to mention a new program from from Simplilearn called Skill Up, which is a way to sample our courses through the on-demand video content, over 300 skills, over 1,000 hours of video content, all free. And I think I included the link in our chat window a couple of times. I will do that one more time before we go. And that's a good way to look at what we have to offer before committing to our more involved programs. So again, thank you to Ronald, and thank you all for being here. We invite you to be part of our community through our social media channels on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. And we also hope that you will join us for future Simplilearn webinars. And with that, that concludes our webinar today. And we all thank you for being here. And it's time to log off of WebEx. And until next time.
Thank you.